Donald Trump's forthcoming state visit to Britain was hit by a diplomatic row last night after it emerged he wants to avoid Prince Charles because of their dispute over global warming. The president is understood to have made it clear he does not want talks with the prince at Clarence House, a regular feature of such visits. Trump is said to fear a meeting will encourage environmentalists to stage protests against him. Reports of Trump's threatened boycott of the prince come a week after the publication of a new book by the heir to the throne warning of the threat posed by climate change. The rift threatens to cast a cloud over Theresa May's hopes that the visit she announced during her trip to America last week would seal a new Anglo-US special relationship. The prince, who wrote on climate change in last week's Mail on Sunday, is said to regard Trump's views on the issue as appalling and is relaxed about the prospect of not meeting him. If the opportunity arises, the prince would discuss the issue with the president in a courteous, respectful, and candid way, said a well-placed source. If the president does not want tea at Clarence House, that is a matter for him. It would be a pity because, as a non-politician, Charles is in a unique position to raise matters like this. Either way, he will play a full part in the state visit. Instead of seeing Prince Charles, Trump wants tea or dinner plus a photo call with the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge at Kensington Palace to get even with Obama, who was accorded the privilege last year. An insider said, the White House has got it into its head that Charles is going to lecture Trump about climate change. They don't want that to happen. Charles doesn't mind either way. He thinks Trump's statements on this subject and others are frankly appalling. If Trump meets Charles, the prince will raise the matter because he feels passionately about it. He isn't going to cause a row. But if Trump doesn't want to meet him, so be it. Another source said, Trump is treating the state visit like one long wish list of egotistical treats and photo calls. There is little evidence he plans to do much of any seriousness or substance. Trump has described global warming as a Chinese hoax intended to wreck American industry. In his new book, the prince has said we must act to avoid the potentially devastating consequences of climate change. He suggested including global warming alerts in TV weather forecasts to raise awareness. There was a further blow for Trump last night over his reported request to play the 9-hole golf course as a guest of the Queen at her Balmoral estate during his visit, mooted for June. However, it is believed Her Majesty is unwilling to bring forward her routine of going to Scotland in September. Regardless of whether they have a formal meeting, Trump will be unable to avoid Charles altogether. The heir to the throne customarily greets a visiting head of state on his arrival in Britain and escorts them to Horse Guards Parade for a ceremonial parade with the Queen. Afterwards, Trump and wife Melania are expected to spend 2 nights at Buckingham Palace, which will include a state banquet. There is no question of Prince Charles missing the banquet as he did last year when Chinese president made an official visit. His absence sparked speculation that it was linked to the prince's support for the exiled Tibetan leader the Dalai Lama. It was the latest in a string of snubs to the Chinese by Prince Charles. He boycotted the 2008 Beijing Olympics in Beijing due to his support for Tibet and called China's leaders appalling old waxworks after the handover of Hong Kong to Beijing in 1997.